Alright guys, so today I'm going to be doing a review of the Collective Minds FPS Dominator Strike Pack for the PS4, and I'm also going to be doing a comparison with Scuf controller. And I'm going to be using Scuf as an umbrella term for pro gaming controllers. Obviously in this it's going to be Battle Beaver is going to be included, Cinch Gaming is going to be included, so basically all the pro controllers. So what the FPS Dominator is, it's an attachment obviously that attaches to your controller, and it basically gives you paddles, so you have paddles as a Scuf controller would. So I'm going to build a Scuf controller with the cheapest options in mind so that we can properly compare it for someone who wants to spend the least amount of money. So the cheapest controller is going to be from the Spectrum collection, and already you're going to start off with a price tag of $125. So I've gone with the regular black color because it's free. I've gone with the standard buttons because it's free. They do give you custom thumbsticks, with which obviously the Strike Pack does not do. No on the disc. For the paddles, I've chosen electromagnetic remapping. I've chosen yes. The reason why is because you can do it with the FPS Dominator. So to have a proper comparison, I've chosen yes, which is an additional $18. Obviously we don't have custom triggers, so I put no on there, and no custom grip, so I put no on there. So we're gonna go to the cart. So I'm just gonna go forward because I've already added it to the cart. I don't want to add it twice. So the price tag we are then given, once we have tax and shipping included, is a price tag of $160. The Collective Minds, you can actually get it from GameStop or Amazon, and it costs $40. Amazon is going to be $50 after tax and shipping. GameStop is going to be like $44. But if you have a rewards card, I think it's only $40. So we're going to do a $40 price tag comparison to $160. So I'm going to be comparing these in three different categories. The first one is going to be design. The second one is going to be replaceability, meaning if you break it, how expensive is it to replace it? And the last one is going to be gameplay and drawbacks. So basically how it plays when you're actually like playing a game, and like what is wrong with the controller. So let's get right into design. Alright, so starting off with the design of the Strike Pack, I want you guys to notice that, the thumbsticks come off to the side, and they're actually positioned in the way so that if you want to ignore them and not use them, you can actually choose to do so. They're not going to get in your way, but if you want to use them, they're there for you to use, and you don't have to like stretch your fingers out trying to reach for them. Another thing I want you guys to notice is that it is a perfect fit everywhere. There are no loose pieces. Like, it is a perfect fit. It's snug on the controller. It is just like well designed, well built. There's like no air pockets or anything. It's just like really snug onto the controller. Alright, so when it comes to the design of the Scuf controller, so I think in design, after all, I would say that Strike Pack does win, and yes, Scuf does give you thumbsticks, but when you get this price tag, they're far from free. All right, they're not exactly free. Obviously, the design of the controller itself is going to, like, you can choose, but obviously that's going to cost you money. With the controller that you have, you can actually get whatever design you can. Like, you can get the urban camo design, which I do have one of my controllers, and you can buy that for the regular price tag of the PlayStation 4. So this is why I think that Strike Pack wins in design. When it comes to paddles, I have borrowed a friend's Scuf controller before, and one thing I've heard quite a few people complain about is that the paddles are not in a location that is friendly to your fingers. You have to readjust the way you hold the controller. Obviously not a lot. It's not like the paddles are miles away, but stretching your finger around to hit these paddles is actually quite a bit of a stretch for most people, as opposed to paddles that are like right here, which you can just kind of tap. And Scuf is known for comfort, and obviously these paddles are going to be out of your way if you choose to hold the controller regularly and you choose to ignore the paddles. But the Strike Pack does the exact same thing. The only thing is that they have the paddles placed so that if you do want to use the paddles, they're right there for you and they're easy. Where Scuf, you do have to kind of stretch your fingers quite a bit, and I'm not going to exaggerate it because it's not like you're stretching them like 5 inches to hit a paddle. So all in all, I'd say that Strike Pack does win because of the price tag. Alright, so the next point I want to make is replaceability, which basically means how much does it cost, or how much are you out if your controller breaks. So replaceability, just replacing what's broken. So from my understanding, Scuf Gaming and Battle Beaver and Cinch Gaming do not offer any kind of warranties on their controllers. So if you buy a controller and you use it, obviously if they send it to you broken, then you can replace it, but if they send it to you and then you break it on your own, I think that, from my understanding, you're out of controller. That's your problem, you deal with it, that's your money down the drain. So if any part of your controller breaks from the Scuf, if a paddle breaks, if a button breaks, if the controller breaks, if anything breaks, you're out $160. So it's going to cost you $160 to replace them. If your strike pack breaks, it's only going to cost you $40 to replace it. So it's a huge difference between $40 to $160. It's $120 difference actually, to be exact. So obviously it's going to be much like cheaper to you, and it's going to be much better to your wallet if this breaks than if a Scuf controller breaks, because you're only losing $40, and if you buy another one, then you're going to be $80, which is still half of the 160 price tag of the Scuf controller. Now, if your regular controller breaks, then you can just, you know, detach the mod pack, which is actually what it's called. I'll get to it later. You can actually detach this and just put it onto your new controller, and then boom, you've got a quote-unquote Scuf controller once again. Alright guys, so the next thing I want to talk about is gameplay and drawbacks. So I want to talk about how this controller works when you're actually playing in-game, and some of the drawbacks that it has, some of the things that are wrong with it that I think should be changed. So yeah, let's get right into it. So when it comes to the gameplay, it plays exactly as a Scuf controller does. Obviously, it's going to take you a week to 2 weeks to get like really good with it, to the point where you, you know, don't even use the buttons on the controller anymore. But other than that, it just feels really natural. Like it feels, you know, really good. It feels, you know, it doesn't feel like awkward or clunky at all. I know the pack looks a little clunky on the controller, but it doesn't feel like that at all. You know, it feels really smooth. Everything, you know, is just working as, you know, like one simple thing, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel awkward at all. So right now I'm just using the right stick to move around. I mean the left stick to move around, right stick to look around, and then I'm just using the paddles. My left one is programmed to slide, my right one is programmed to jump. And you can change this at any time. I'm going to be putting a picture of the back of the controller. There's two buttons. You just hold down that button and the button on the controller that you want to program. You let go of them, and then that's the paddle is going to be programmed to that. So obviously, if you want to program the right paddle, you press the right button as well as X, and then you let go of them, and now the right paddle is going to be X, just like I've done here. So once again, when it comes to gameplay, I just want to say that it feels completely natural. It feels really good. It feels awesome. I'm really liking it, and I would definitely recommend it. So let's get into some drawbacks, though, because there are some really bad things with this controller that I do want to point out. I'm going to be pointing out four different things, and I'm going to be pointing out four different things, and yeah, let's get right into it. Two of them are going to kind of be like related, so it's more like three different things. So the very first thing is the fact that this controller, like the pack, I'm not going to lie, it does feel a little cheaply made. It does feel a little cheap. The material feels cheap. Obviously, you're paying $40. You're not going to be using the best materials on them. But it does feel cheap in the fact that it feels fragile. It feels like if I squeeze too hard, I'm going to break it. And, you know, you don't want to feel like you have to be careful with your controller whenever you're playing, you know, especially when you're like in the zone and you're stressed out. You don't want to worry about, you know, maybe breaking your controller. I know it's not going to break, but that's just how it feels. It feels really flimsy, really cheaply made. And that's one huge drawback that I have with it. However, you know, for a $40 price tag, I'm pretty sure I can get over it really quick. So the next drawback I have, and now this is a little bit more serious. This is a drawback that I'm just like, you know, I'm not really happy with. So the controller has to be plugged in the whole time. Yes, you can't go wireless on this. They do provide you a 10-foot cable to use, but you cannot go wireless with this. You have to use the cable, because as soon as you unplug the cable, everything comes off. Everything just turns off. You have to reconnect the controller and everything. And yeah, so you have to use the cable at all times, and I'd say that's fine, you know, for a $40 price tag. I'm not going to complain about that too much, but what I am going to complain about is my third point, which is the fact that hello, can you connect? The fact that this cable has like a specific design. All right, so this is what the little input looks like, and only the cable from Collective Minds can fit in here. So no other cable can fit in here because most of them are too thick. So Collective Minds has specifically made it so only their cable fits. And I think that's kind of a really bad move, because if your cable breaks, then I guess you have to buy like another cable from Collective Minds, which I guess they've done this as a ploy so that you know, have to keep giving them more money. I don't know. I'm not going to like throw any shade their way, but the fact that they've made it so that you specifically have to use their cable, I say that is a huge drawback, because if your cable breaks, then you have to wait for them to ship in a new cable, and you can't use your pack for, you know, however long it takes them to ship. So I think that is a huge drawback. I'm really unhappy with that. The fact that you have to, you know, have your controller plugged in the whole time, and you have to use their specific cable. I know a lot of people who like to go wireless are going to have a problem with that, so I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time. So The last drawback I have, and this is one that a lot of you guys might have with it as well. It is called the mod pack because you can add mods to it. Yeah, you can put rapid fire, quick scope, drop shot, jitter, everything you can think of, you can put it on. Obviously, I'm not going to go through the bother of putting those, mods on, because you have to do them through the computer. You can't just press a button and boom, there it is. You have to actually apply them on the computer, set them on the computer. And, I'm not going to take the time to do that. I don't use mods anyway. But the reason why it's a drawback is if you want to take this to your local, Call of Duty, competition, or if for some reason you go to COD Champs and for some reason you're not sponsored by a professional controller already, obviously they're not going to let you use this because you can put mods on it. So obviously that is a huge drawback. So obviously if you're using this for, game battles and wagers, no one's going to know that you're using this, or even if you have mods. Obviously, don't use mods because, people could detect that, but they're not going to be able to detect that you're using this. For all anyone knows, you're just using a regular Scuf. The comfort of your own home, you can use it for game battles and wagers, doesn't really matter. But I do think it's a drawback that they have made it so that it's, you can mod it. I don't know why they wouldn't make a version where you can put mods on and a version where, you don't put mods on. I think that might actually even be easier for them, but the fact that they don't have two separate versions, I do think is quite a bit of a drawback. But yeah, guys, that has been my review and comparison. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If it did help you guys, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a like, maybe shared it, subscribed, and yeah, guys, as always, have a good one. Take care. Peace out.